to somebody about that in the forestry sector a little while ago, and there was a variety of contracts, and when they put out an RSP, there's a certain, check marks that you have to have, and that can be viewed as a positive. It can also be viewed as a checking the box negative, right?
Yes.
But I can see where, again, sort of startup smaller firms are able to say, okay, this is our way in, because otherwise it would be difficult to land the work.
So I see that as a negative, that whole system where you're bidding on it and the check boxes.
Yeah.
Because when you get into those scoring systems, or the way it's scored, we're automatically excluded. We won't score enough points because of the size of our organization or the previous experience of our organization.
Right.
We're very competitive when it comes to pricing because we're smaller. We don't have the overhead of some of these huge conglomerates. But when they come in and they say, well, we've got 40 mines across the world, or we've got 15 mines in Ontario, and we're coming in and like, I've worked at mines, we've overseen the security at mines, but 2 or 3. And so they'll get the full points, the 20, 25 points on that, and we'll get 7 points. So we won't move on to the next stage. So we think it's actually a disadvantage for those scoring things to be the way they are.
So the actual, including the requirement for Indigenous companies, hurts or helps?
That helps.
Right.
But it's the scoring system that is put into place by especially actually government organizations when we're trying to bid on contracts for the provincial or federal government. A lot of it is based on previous experience, which precludes us based on how young we are and just the experience of some of these.
So the Indigenous ownership is not enough to overcome those.
Absolutely.
Got it.
That's correct.
And it's funny because I hate the phrase virtue signaling because I don't think it's fair, but there's a certain tone of that around it to say, I'm just doing the right thing here, man. I'm checking that box, and I'm on my way, and it's not helping you at all.
It's not how they're. Well, we did our due diligence. We've made it so it's easier for you to bid on it. We've invited you to the process. Yeah. We've done all the things we can do to kind of get you in, but then it's not enough, unfortunately.
So explain to me then, if you were talking about the criteria in terms of the security operation that you provide, is there something distinct and unique that you need in terms of skill set at a mine that you wouldn't need, say, at a forestry site?
I think just depending on the mine, no, I don't think there's anything more specific. Like, we have done jobs in the forestry sector as well, so we've had some work there. Everybody kind of requires your first responder, first aid training, and just all the general stuff. Some of the ones, actually, I'll take that back, in the mines, they want our staff to have alcohol and drug training, like screening training.
Right.
That's not necessarily something that's as required in forestry. So that's a big deal.
So is that something where you look at it and say, okay, if we were able to, add those skill set to our, our team, then we're more likely to be included?
Absolutely. We actually just bid on a contract last week. We're supposed to hear about it today, so today could be a big day for us.
Okay, well, here's hoping.
Here's hoping. And part of it was to have that training. So we've already initiated. We've got the training set up for later in March to have some of our staff trained to say, hey, we've already got this done. We've got some of our folks trained up. We can start sooner than later now.
I was talking to a crew out in Saskatchewan a couple of weeks ago, and we got into this conversation about, Indigenous requirements and so on in terms of procurement. And the question that was asked, and I think it was important and a simple one, is, so what is it you're trying to accomplish by having that criteria on, my procurement
to have the Indigenous business?
Whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
But that, in fact, being part of it. What are we trying to accomplish there? And does that mean because we're worrying about more jobs, or are we worrying about economic development? So there's some bigger questions here that I'm not sure that the submission application actually gets to.
No, exactly. And I think the goal there is reconciliation, where they're trying to give opportunity to these Indigenous businesses that didn't have that opportunity before. They would just go with whoever the biggest one is, whoever they know, the devil they know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, and now to make that change and potentially go with this younger, unknown security company, even though they're Indigenous owned, they're not really willing to take.
You're
that
still
chance.
othered.
we're still other,
Right.
right? And
Yeah, yeah.
it's